right, let's not beat around the bush. This one's huge. UFC fighter Colby Covington is in serious hot water, and it's all because of some footage that just hit the internet. I mean, we're talking about roasted like toasted with a side of controversy. You know how Colby's been known for his trash-talking, controversial persona, right? Well, brace yourselves. This new footage has thrown that reputation into question in ways no one could have predicted. Now, I'm sure many of you watching have an opinion on Covington. Either you love him or you can't stand him. But no one saw this coming. This footage is so explosive that even his most loyal fans are asking, is this the end for Colby Covington? Let's break it all down. What exactly is in this footage? How did it all go down? And more importantly, what does this mean for Colby's future in the UFC? Before we get into the shocking footage, let's quickly rewind and set the stage for what we've come to know about Colby Covington. For years, Colby's been the guy who thrives on controversy. From calling out rivals in the most aggressive, over-the-top ways, to using outlandish statements and tactics to gain attention, he's built an entire career on being the bad guy in the sport. You either loved it or hated it, but you couldn't ignore it. But then this footage drops, and suddenly everything changes. So what exactly happened? The footage that hit social media wasn't just some training clip or trash talk, it was much more personal. Imagine this. A private behind the scenes moment caught on camera, showing Colby in a completely different light. And what it reveals is enough to make fans question if this whole bad guy's persona was just an act. But what's even more surprising is how the footage portrays him. Is he a genuine villain, or has he been playing us all for the past few years? Now, the question on everyone's mind is, how will this impact his career? For someone who's built a reputation off of being a fighter who doesn't care what anyone thinks, this was a different type of shot, a blow to his credibility. But that's just the beginning. As we go deeper, you'll see why this is more than just a momentary slip-up. It could be the beginning of the end for his controversial career. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. When this footage dropped, the reactions were instant and intense. And I'm talking about everyone from hardcore UFC fans to casual viewers to even other fighters. No one was safe from the roasting. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree. And let me tell you, the memes were flying faster than a Colby Covington punch. We're talking savage roasting. Like people were just throwing fueled fireballs at him from all directions. But what made this even worse for Covington is how his usual persona seemed to completely backfire. You know how Colby's all about trash, talking, right? We're used to him talking smack to everyone in his path, like he's the king of UFC. But here's the kicker. The footage wasn't just about the usual insults or exaggerated persona, it was something else entirely. Something so personal, so off-brand for the trash-talking image he's worked so hard to build. The reaction on Twitter? Absolutely brutal. Fans went crazy, some even saying things like, "This isn't the Colby I know," or "I can't take him seriously anymore." Even his most loyal followers had to admit that this was bad. Like, really bad. But hey, this is Colby Covington we're talking about, right? So it wasn't long before he jumped into the fray, responding with some bold claims and his usual bravado. But some of his fellow fighters, yeah, they jumped in too. And let's just say, it wasn't to show him any love. From smack talks tweets to just straight up mocking him, Colby was getting roasted from all sides. Now, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, come on, Colby's used to this by now, right? He thrives on this attention. And normally, you'd be right. But this time, this feels different. This isn't just fans making jokes, it's people who've been on his side turning against him. And that's where it gets really interesting. I'll be honest here, when I first saw the footage, I couldn't believe it. Was this all part of some bigger, more calculated act? Or was this the real Colby, the guy behind the brash, trash-talking fighter who always says what's on his mind? Because from what I saw, it didn't quite add up. Okay, now we've got to talk about the fallout from this video. If you're Colby, this isn't just some blip on the radar, it's the kind of moment that can change the trajectory of your career. UFC fighters are under constant scrutiny, sure, but Colby has built his career on being controversial. That's part of his appeal, right? Well, with this new footage coming out, that appeal is starting to fade and the heat is only getting worse. Sponsors. Let's just say they're not exactly lining up to throw money at him right now. In fact, some of the bigger names in the fight game are distancing themselves from him. Why? Because the footage shows something that goes beyond his usual antics, something that leaves fans questioning whether they can still stand behind him. Some are calling this footage a career killer, but will Colby be able to bounce back from this, or has the damage already been done? And it's not just the sponsors. Promoters and fight fans are starting to lose trust in Colby, and if there's one thing UFC thrives on, it's trust with its fan base. If they stop believing in you, the fans won't show up to watch your fights. It's as simple as that. Will Colby be able to recover from this blow to his reputation? Or is this the start of a decline that he may never come back from? But here's the twist. Colby is a fighter, and we all know fighters don't go down without a real fight. In fact, Colby's already spoken out about the footage, claiming it's all taken out of context. But will the damage done by this scandal be something he can really bounce back from? Because here's the thing, if there's one thing Colby knows how to do, it's come out swinging. Will he pull himself together, come back stronger, and win back the fans who are now questioning him? Or will the backlash be too much for him to handle? I'm telling you, this situation is far from over, and it's only getting more intense. But here's the real question we need to ask ourselves. What exactly is Colby going to do now? With the pressure mounting and fans divided, how will he respond? Is he going to come clean? Admit he made a mistake and try to rebuild his image? Or will he double down on his bad guy persona and risk losing everything he's worked for? The answers are coming, but they're not here yet. Stay tuned because this story is about to take some wild turns. You won't want to miss the next chapter in the Colby Covington saga. If you're as hooked on this story as I am, then smash that like button and don't forget to hit subscribe. We've got a lot more to come on this. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss what happens next.